What is up, guys, and welcome to another video. Now, if you haven't seen my Switzerland video yet, I highly recommend you click it right here. And also, I've been getting quite a few questions and messages on Instagram asking about camera gear, about video stuff and all that. So I'm going to create a separate video answering all of your questions. So if you have any, you can hit me up on Instagram, send whatever your questions you have, and I'll answer them on a separate video. Now, today's video is inspired by Peter McKinnon, who created a tutorial on how to film yourself. He brought up a lot of great points, but today I'm here to add a few more on how you can create movement to your video, make it look dynamic without actually doing it yourself, because you're filming yourself, obviously. Yeah, I'm gonna show you guys how to do that in camera and also in post. So let's do a quick recap of what he mentioned in his video, and that is to shoot multiple interesting angles and constantly cut between them. That way the clip looks more dynamic, not through camera movement, but through actually switching the angles. Now, another tip I want to give you guys is to have actual movement in the clip itself. That way you're compensating for the static of the camera by creating more motion through the actual scene. Another way to do this is to tell a story. That way your audience is drawn into the story and less through the camera movement. So you're drawing your attention of the audience away from the camera movement and into the story. Now let's jump into actual camera movement. How can you create dynamic camera movement without actually having an operator be there? Well, the best way to do this is through a motion control unit. Now this right here is a Surf Genie. I simply put it on a slider, set my desired length, speed, and also fade in and out. So what I like to do is create a long fade in and out so it acts kind of like a self-timer. So I set it up, hit start, and then run to my scene, obviously have all the focus and all the other parameters ready, and then I create my motion or whatever movement I want to create, and I jump into the scene and I shoot the scene. It makes it look dynamic. This is only linear, but the best part about this is that you can create 2 or 3 axes to have more 3D motion. Now, by creating 3D motion, it makes it look like it's shot more professionally, shot by somebody else. Now this right here is only single motion, but like I said, you can slap on 2 axes, 3 axes, and have all this 3-axis motion, and it looks extremely professional and also repetitive. So it makes it almost look like somebody else shot it for you. So that is the first one on how to create motion in camera. Now, what if you don't have that kind of money to buy these motion control devices? Well, I'm gonna show you guys how to do this stuff in post, along with one bonus tip that I think you guys will love. But if you have this unit, I suggest you use it. It does take quite a bit of time to set up, but the results will be worth it afterwards. So if you have it, use it. Otherwise, if you don't want to spend that money, then I'll show you guys how to do some of these movements in post. It's not gonna look as professional as this, but you're still gonna get some dynamic camera movements, and that is the main point. Now, another great way to film yourself is actually through drones. Now, I don't think a lot of people thought about this, but actually the drone's one of the best ways to film yourself, because of all the new features that all these companies are coming out with. The orbiting feature, the track subject feature where you simply set your track point and the drone starts to track it, or even the path feature where you simply set your path and the drone will simply follow it. Now, in my opinion, this is one of the best ways to film yourself. Although these features are somewhat flimsy, they don't work all the time, but if you don't have an option, then I think this is the best way to do it. Another tip I want to give you guys when filming yourself with a drone is try to hide the remote so it doesn't look like you're operating the drone. So you set your track point or whatsoever and hide the remote, put it in your backpack or somewhere so it doesn't look like you actually filmed yourself with the drone, and it makes it look like somebody actually flew the drone for you. Now, there is one more way you can create and add camera movements to your videos, and this is actually being used almost by all vloggers actually, and that is to use a gorilla pod. Now, you've seen vloggers use these gorilla pods to film themselves, but nobody's actually used it to film kind of a cinematic sequence, and you can actually use it to film yourself on a cinematic sequence. It is a great way to add movements, and although you're only limited to kind of the torso part and close range, but it's still a great method to have in your arsenal. You know, when you're filming something, you can have that in mind. You might use it someday. So yeah, that is all for in-camera stuff. So let me show you guys a few ways you can add motion and movement to your videos in post. Now I am going to show you guys the obvious ones through keyframes, but I've also got a bonus preset at the end, which I was quite fascinated when I found out about it. So I'm sure you guys will love it, and you're going to see that in just a few seconds. I'll also have a link for it in the description down below where you can download it. It is free, so you don't have to worry about paying anything. So without further ado, let's get to the post-production. All right, we're here in Premiere once again. I've got the sequence here that I shot of myself using only a tripod. So let's take a look at it real quick.
The sun goes down, here with you I'm found. In your love I drown, I wouldn't have it any other way. Ooh, I'm making memories with you, all of the stupid things we do.
Alright, as you might have noticed, there is no camera movement because I shot this all on a tripod, and I've got some motion in it as well. And you can realize that I've kind of made quick cuts between multiple angles to make it more interesting. That's what I mentioned earlier. So we want to add some movement to the actual clip itself. So the first way we can do this is simply by adding keyframes, zooming in and out, panning left to right. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at this first clip over here, and I'm going to add a zoom out. So we can go to the beginning of the clip, and we go down to the scale, press this toggle animation button, and let's create a zoom out. So we're gonna create, let's say we start at 110 and then go to the end of the clip, and we'll just turn it back to 100%. So let's take a look at how it looks. Now you can see it's very subtle. There's not much movement. That's exactly what we want. Since the clip is in slow motion, we don't want to create some drastic camera movements. So we're going to leave it at that. Simple, small zoom out. We're going to leave this as it is, and we're going to move on to this clip right here. Now for this clip, I'm going to add a little zoom in. So once again, do the same thing. Start your first keyframe here. Go to the end of the clip. So let us do 110. And that creates a small zoom in. It's very subtle, very smooth, and it makes the video look a lot more interesting. You can add a small zoom in here if you want as well. I'm gonna try and see how that looks. I personally like how the video looks right now, but let's just add it and see how it looks like. I'm gonna do the same thing. Move to the end of the clip. Now this is shorter, so I'm probably gonna go to like 105 instead. So it's very subtle. I kind of like that. That looks pretty cool. Now the last clip over here already has movement because it was shot with a slider, so there's really not much we need to add to this one over here. Now I haven't done much to this. All I've done is added some crop to give it that widescreen bar look, and I've added a LUT. So let's take a look at the final result.
The sun goes down, here with you I'm found. In your love I drown, I wouldn't have it any other way. Ooh, I'm making memories with you.
Now there is one more preset that I mentioned earlier that I was going to tell you about, guys. So let's take a look at it real quick. What it does is simply makes the video look like it was shot handheld. So you have it on a tripod, you add this preset, it's going to make it look like it was shot handheld. So I'm going to have that preset link in the description down below. So you simply right click, import preset, navigate to the preset where you saved it, hit OK, and open it up. It'll load up in your preset panel, and it is over here. So you can have it for oversized footage or any footage. Let's just try any footage. And then you've got multiple types of camera shakes. So we've got a long lens, that's going to give you probably more. Small camcorder, it has all the details over here, so you can read it up and add whichever one you want. Now it's going to add a slight kind of scaling, so just be aware of that. So let's add a somewhat steady, so just a little bit of shake. So let's add it to this clip and see how it looks like. So you can see that it added a tiny bit of camera shake to it, so it's not exactly static, but it makes it look like it was shot handheld. So that kind of makes it look interesting. So that's pretty cool. And the best part about this is these were actually tracked off of real cameras. So it's not really just made digitally, but it was tracked off a different camera that was handheld, and then these keyframes were brought in and added to this clip over here. And those are what these presets basically are. So this is pretty cool. I love this. I use it sometimes when I have a kind of like a tripod shot and I have another one that's handheld, and I don't want it to be quite abrupt from a stationary static video into a somewhat handheld. So I add this preset to the tripod one, and it kind of matches them both together. I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting, and it makes it look like somebody else shot it for you. So yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. And let's just take a look at the final sequence real quick with all the movements that we've added. Now, thank you guys for watching once again. I hope you guys learned something and found this entertaining. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. It helps a lot. And if you want to catch future uploads, tutorials, and other kind of videos, you can subscribe down below. If you have any questions, you can either leave them in the comment section below or shoot me a message on Instagram. You'll get faster response there. Also, you should follow me on Instagram as well, because I post a lot of photos there and a lot of cool places that I go to. And I also give a lot of bonus tips there as well. So if you want to catch a few bonus tips on how to shoot better photos, you can check that out as well. And once again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.